Hello, what's up, and welcome to the backstage of Music Compound. My name is Tom Lelio, and today we're going to talk about how to buy that first instrument. So when it comes to buying your very first instrument, there's a lot of things to consider. We're just going to quickly go over three instruments: the guitar, drums, and keyboard. And then from there, if you want to learn even more about purchasing and purchasing locally, then I'm going to encourage you to check out the links below, because we're going to link to longer videos where we actually went out to a few local stores in Sarasota to discuss how to purchase an instrument and just kind of the vibe at different places here in town. So when it comes to purchasing your first instrument, a lot of people ask, well, which one do you think a kid should start on? Well, a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, keyboard is usually a great one to start, and not just for the reason you think that everybody starts with keyboard, but one of the big things with the keyboard is that when you press the note, it actually makes a clean sound, and that's huge. When you're learning an instrument, you want to make sure the instrument actually makes a clean sound. With some other instruments that can be difficult, like a guitar. So keyboard's a great starter one. So when you're looking at keyboards, there's a couple things you want to think about. Number one, do you want electric or do you want acoustic? Do you want a piano or do you want a digital keyboard? Think about your budget. Your budget is going to be anywhere from about at least $100 all the way up to thousands of dollars if you really want to invest in a beautiful piano. Once again, if you want to check out how to purchase a piano or a digital keyboard, click on the links below and you'll check out where we went to Pritchard's for some more explanation. Now, when you're looking at a keyboard or a piano, a couple of things I would look for. Number one, you want to make sure that it's got key sensitivity, so that the harder you press on it, the louder it's going to get. That's going to mimic a piano, and the more money you spend, the closer to that feel of a piano you're going to get. You also want to make sure that it has at least 66 keys, but 88 keys, like a full keyboard, is even better. And last but not least, make sure it has a sustain pedal input. So you're going to want to buy a sustain pedal. That's that little pedal that when you hit the note and you press the pedal down, the note sustains. And when you put that all together, it's part of playing the piano is using the sustain pedal. So you're probably going to be looking, I would say, to get started in the $200 to $300 range. I recommend a piano by Williams. It's the Allegro 3 piano. It's a great way to get started. Fully weighted sustain pedal. Don't forget, when buying a keyboard, you're also going to need a stand for the keyboard. Sometimes they have portable stands that come in bundles, or they can have a nicer looking stand if you're going to be keeping it like in your living room. You also might need a music stand, or some of them come with them, and if you're going to be carrying around, maybe you'll want a bag. So expect to spend anywhere from $200 to $400 for a nice quality 88 fully weighted keyboard. Of course, you can get them used, or you could pay less. You'll just get a little bit less of maybe the key sensitivity. The keys might feel cheaper. You might get the sounds might sound cheaper. Just kind of little things like that. Now, when it comes to checking out drums, we also had a video about how to purchase your drum kits and some tips of purchasing drum kits. Number one, I would say you can rent them. So here at Music Compound, we actually rent out drums. One of our instructors rents out drum kits, so that's one way you can go. Obviously, you'll have the choice of an electric drum kit or an acoustic drum kit. Our teachers here love the acoustic drum kits. You can also buy special heads that go on the drum kits that will make them what's called it's a silent stroke head, so that you can put them on so that when they're hitting them, it's not very loud. You can actually come into Music Compound and test out those heads because we use them in our lesson rooms. But with the acoustic kits, used is a great way to go if you can find some good deals on Craigslist. But feel free to give us a call and talk to your instructor, because we can let you know what's a good deal and what's not. A couple things to keep in mind: when you're purchasing a drum kit, you may have your shell kit, which is like your toms, your snare, your kick drum. But don't forget about the hardware. You're going to need cymbals, you're going to need cymbal stands, you're going to need hi-hats, you're going to need hi-hat stands, you're going to need a kick pedal, you're going to need a drum throne or a drum stool, you're going to need a snare stand, you're going to need all these different bits and pieces. So make sure when you buy the bundle, especially if it's used, that everything you need is going to come with it. And again, just come talk to us, we can help you. Now, when it comes to an electric kit, those can be awesome because obviously you just put on the headphones and you don't have to worry about hearing the drums all the time when you're at home. The only downside is the cheaper version versions, a couple $100s, they don't respond as well as a real drum kit, so the feel isn't quite there, and sometimes the sounds can sound kind of, well, trashy because they're just super cheap, but it might be one way to get started that is an option. For drums, expect to pay anywhere from a couple $100, $2, $3, all the way up to, thousands of dollars, depending on how much you want to get involved in it. A good quality set that you can get started with, I would say at least expect $200, because what you're going to want to do is, you might get a used set, but you can make a used set, an old set, sound really, really good by getting new heads, a couple $100. If you want to get the silent stroke heads, that's a couple $100, like $200 or so. So if you're going to get, a hand-me-down drum kit, you want to put those silent heads on, expect a couple $100. The heads are maybe like $100, but if you want to get silent stroke cymbals so that when they're hitting the cymbals they're not super loud, that's about another $100. So that's kind of the price range you're going to be looking at for drums. And last but not least, we've got the guitar. The guitar is an awesome instrument. We do recommend it for older students, and the main reason for that is because it can hurt. Like, when it comes to a guitar, you're pressing down strings, and in order to make a nice clean sound, you have to have enough pressure between pressing down the strings on the fretboard to actually create a resonant sound. So sometimes that can be difficult for young ones. There are a couple of guitars out there for super young ones, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Electric guitar is great because the strings are a little bit lighter. A classical guitar has nylon strings, so that can be helpful. And then, of course, you have your acoustic guitars. A couple quick things to keep in mind there. With an electric guitar, make sure you go and get it set up. So if you buy used, that's one way to do it. If you buy new, that's fine. But always take it either to a local shop like Foats Music and get it set up. So then what that means is they're going to make sure the strings have the right tension on them and are as close to the fretboard as possible, so you don't have to push super hard in order to get that clean resonant sound. With any of the guitars, you can look for a junior or a 3/4 size guitar that's going to be a little bit smaller for younger kids. There's guitars out there like the Loog, L-O-O-G guitar that is just the top three strings of the guitar. That's one way to do it. We don't have much experience with it, but I'm just throwing it out there for you to be aware that that's a way some people will go. Some people will get what we have at Kids Rock, a 3/4 junior Squier Strat. That's a great starter guitar. With that, we take off 3 strings for the 4 to 7-year-olds, just so that they can get used to playing, picking down to the ground, the right picking technique, the right pressing technique, and they're not worried about hitting 6 strings and maybe it doesn't sound so hot. With the 3 strings, they can find success a little bit quicker. With a guitar, you're gonna look at anywhere from maybe about $200 to $400 for a starter guitar. You can certainly get them cheaper, but you get what you pay for sometimes. So if this is something you're really looking to invest, I still have my very first guitar that was about, I think, $300, and I still use it out professionally, and when I'm doing gigs and when I'm playing here at Music Compound. So again, electric or acoustic. With the electrics, you're going to need an amp, so don't forget that. Accessories you're going to want with guitars, you want a capo, you're going to want a tuner, you might want a strap, you might want a carrying case. So there's a lot that goes into it as well. With the acoustics, similar price range. The nice thing is you can just strum it and it sounds nice and loud. Consider getting an acoustic electric so that in the future, if you do want to plug in, if you're going to be performing on our stage and you want to plug the guitar in, an acoustic electric is helpful. And that's just a guitar that looks like an acoustic guitar, but it's electric in that it has an input so that you can plug it into the speakers. And obviously you can also go with the classical guitar that has nylon strings. It's not what you typically see with pop music, but it is the same exact guitar, just different kinds of strings, and you can play it a little bit differently. But that's one way to go. And last but not least, of course, ukuleles. Ukuleles are great starter guitars. There's only a few strings on there. They're nylon strings, so you don't have to press as hard. It's very, very portable. So if you're thinking about an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar, but you're not quite sure, maybe trying the ukulele first is one way that you can go. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, guys. I hope that this was helpful getting you started with your very first instrument. Don't forget, we did do a whole series on where to buy these instruments, and we go more in depth with the store owners themselves on how to buy band instruments, violins, guitars, pianos, digital keyboards, all of that. Check it out right here on our YouTube channel or our Facebook channel. We thank you for watching us. If you want more information about music lessons here at Music Compound, visit us online at musiccompound.com. Peace.